Hi, this is Dr. Sal at Nuarch Dental Implants, Nuarch by Dr. Sal. Today we're going to talk about dental myths. Obviously, it's not a myth, it's a fact. BS, bull, whatever, I think there's several billion people in the world that would disagree with that. So I'll answer this with another question. If you were brushing your hair and your scalp started bleeding, does that seem normal? Brushing harder with your toothbrush does not clean better. So that's a big myth and another BS. So actually, the gentler you are, the better it can clean if the toothbrush is good or it's a new one, and a bunch of other things. But that's definitely a myth. Flossing is not necessary. Well, if you have something better than flossing, it may not be necessary. So I wouldn't just say it's a myth. But to be frank and to stay in good relations with the hygienist worlds and other dentists, I would say, yeah, that's a myth. So if chewing gum would work like brushing your teeth, then the same idea, it should be correct that, rain should take care of washing your car. So that's another myth. White teeth does not always mean healthy. It could just, it's got nothing to do with health. It's just that's a myth. Well, not exactly a myth. So this one is if the babies or kids are given good food, they got so much saliva, they don't accumulate like adults. So they don't get tartar buildup, most kids. So I think it's a good idea to start brushing when they're at an early age because you get into the habit. But I would say it's not a complete myth. There's some truth to it. I think some kids can get away with good nutrition for some time, for a while, and while they're young. This is a big BS. If you want to have big problems and end up losing all your teeth, then you should definitely, that's the advice you want to follow. Well, that's another myth because you don't really know how long dental implants will last, but I've been in practice over 20 years, and there's many implants that I've worked with that are still functioning fine. So that's a myth. That's a myth because if there's a will, there's a way. So if somebody wants a tooth, needs a tooth, and there's a way to get it. Even if the bone is there's not a lot of bone, there's ways to regrow that. So that's a myth. If you had an extraction done, that doesn't mean all your hopes are gone about getting a tooth with an implant. Well, so there's some truth to this for sure. It's a procedure. So I would say this is probably not a myth. One should understand before getting into dental implant surgery that there's some risks involved. So not a myth, no. Well, I think that's a myth because you got to get between the teeth, and as we all know, toothbrush does not get between teeth. So if you figured out a way how to get between the teeth without using floss, that might work. But I'd say currently, no, the best way is using a floss. So that's a myth. I think that's a myth. I have met with many people who do fine at later ages. So, but there's some truth to it because when people age, they get onto many medications which slow down their saliva. So there's not as much moisture in the mouth, and that's a factor for developing decay. So there's some truth to it. So I wouldn't say myth or not myth. Well, braces, if done right, they should straighten all your teeth. So that's a myth. That's a, yeah, that's a myth. I think that's a myth because, you have to find out what the source of the problem is. And there are tooth pains that don't require a root canal. So that's a myth. So you're telling me that if all your choppers are looking good on your mirror, you don't need to see a dentist? Well, I would say that's a myth. No, you need to see a dentist to get them checked out and cleaned. Well, that reminds me of a movie. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it sounded like that. No, that's not true. I mean, not all fillings have to fall out. They're not like on a timer wanting to jump out. No, that's a myth. Oh, this is a big myth, because just because you don't have teeth doesn't mean a dentist can't help you. Well, even if the dentures are working fine, in my previous videos, I don't know if we've already explained that the bone under the denture keeps changing, so dentures need relining. And many people get dissatisfied with their dentures at some point. So, they could see an implant dentist to see their options about implants. That's a myth because they don't. But crowns on teeth, for a good reason, it's a long-term solution. So it's a long-term solution. But it would be a myth to assume that something lasts forever. That's a myth because, like anything, dental implants also need maintenance. So you do need a dentist. I would say that's a myth because there are some extractions, and I have performed many that our patients reported zero pain. It's possible. I'm not saying always, but it's possible. That's a myth. I think what makes things expensive is the accumulation of problems. So, if you're somebody who believes in maintenance and care, it's not going to be expensive. You're going to be taking care of smaller things, hopefully. So, that's a myth. That's a big myth because you should definitely see a dentist and make sure your gums are healthy, your teeth are healthy. Yeah, there's usually no problem seeing a dentist or a hygienist when somebody's pregnant. So thanks for watching our video. See you in the next video. Nuarch by Dr. SAL.